Data log of Terran Contact, 2667, Vice Admiral Wolf, TRSC Sword of Reckoning. An aged man sat atop a chair that sufficiently overlooked a series of stations manned by a multitude of personnel that buzzed about with technical chatter. In the center was a table waist-high that took up the center of the moderately sized bridge. The room was dark, and the dim lights of the monitors and select light fixtures illuminated the room as if battle-ready. There was a large monitor that sat in the rear of the room that Wolf faced, with several faces that shared the limited screen space. Each wore their respective branch's service uniform. "If what you sent is true, then we have no choice but to go to their aid," spoke to a woman in a gray and navy blue. She was the fleet admiral of the Navy and was nearing the end of her tenure. "Thank you, ma'am," Wolf replied. "If their force is sufficient, then I would like access to units from the 4th ODR Battalion," requested Wolf. A man in black and silver spoke on the subject, his face aged and scarred, evidence of his time-ground side, and a general of the orbital drop raiders. "That authorization has been granted. I'm sending you the same unit that assisted in Alameda." Wolf nodded with affirmation. "Thank you, sir. We haven't time to lose. If they've already attacked Draxus, then it's only a matter of time before they overtake the system." "That's," the ma'am spoke, "another item we wish to talk to you about." Wolf grew curious and prompted her to continue. "It's about the facility on Draxus." The man in silver and black interjected, "We have a compound planet-side that's home to several top-secret projects. A star map collection of current and future colonies near and past Dima system, as well as a wealth of R&D technology." The ma'am acknowledged with a nod. "There's a reason we didn't have a strong military presence near the system. It would have drawn unwanted attention from the colonial pirates, and our navy is stretched thin as it is. Don't we have more ships in production? If this is just the initial invasion fleet, they may outnumber us." Wolf's strategical aspect began to turn. "But from what I have seen, their ships aren't any better than ours. 3 well-placed shots of a size 6 rail cannon decimated a medium-sized ship that tried to capture the survivor." "About that," another many spoke, this time one sporting green and dark brown. It was the general of the orbital guard. "You said he was with another. What happened to him?" "As per the report generated from Commander O'Clair, Cam Farron was struck with debris from their ship when they scuttled it and passed shortly after. They applied regenerative therapy and resuscitation, but he was too far gone," Wolf replied. "As for Jay Kurt, he suffered minor trauma to the abdomen and the head, but he said it was before the scuttle." "Crew quarrel?" the general in green commented. "Something of the like," Wolf answered. "However, we gave him the option to return planetside and ferry him home, but he adamantly refused, said we wanted to enlist immediately." "And what did you tell him?" said the madam. "We sent over the application and he returned it the same day and chose the raiders." "We'll see to it he gets properly trained," said the raider general. "We'll have him join the local recruiters station on Altea. If he wants to be a raider, we'll see if he has what it takes," he said, and terminated his call. "I'll notify all orbital guard stations to be on alert, and I'll send out a notice to all system militias to be wary," he said before cutting out. This left only the ma'am and Wolf. "I should be going as well. I have a meeting with the Secretary General with this latest development. I rerouted the rest of the 7th to your sector, and they should be there within the hour." She informed, "All ships have been told the nature of this mission and are able and willing. They're eager to fight." "That's good to hear. This will be the first combat engagement for many. I just hope they are prepared." "They will be, Vice Admiral. Carry on with the plan of the day." The transmission was cut, leaving a blank screen. "Commander Randall," the person in question stepped away from the holo table where he and other officers analyzed likely targets for the enemy in the Draxus system. "Yes, sir?" "As soon as all ships are accounted for, prepare a jump to Draxus. Ensure we are MCON Alpha upon exit. Expect our comms to get jammed." "Aye, sir." Randall gave his orders and the crew followed them to the letter. All they had to do was wait for reinforcements. Wolf approached the holotable to analyze the upcoming field when a simple holographic figure sporting only simple eyes and in the shape of a turquoise oval appeared. "What can I do you for, Admiral?" "Lumi, the log from the Maiden of Blue. What can you tell me about their encounter? The ship they encountered and promptly obliterated was a jammer ship of the medium class, similar in size to the Ice Hawk medium fighter, she said in a jumpy tone. You mentioned it was a jammer ship. What were they jamming? Most forms of common communication, from low-band radio to the lower band of gamma, she said with her avatar making a bouncing motion. What about the distress beacon with the Star Runner? I was informed it was transmitting in the Delta band. Inquire Wolf. It was, the AI replied. However, Delta band is an ultra-low frequency radio wave that can be encrypted on high-frequency gamma rays. The transmission is possible with most ships, but it's not actively inputted as a design choice, but a byproduct ingrained in the basis of ship technology. The founder was lost to time, but the basis for his designs have not. That's, very informative, Lumi. Thank you, Wolf replied. Hard to find, hard to jam. And her form dissipated and the map of Draxus remained. Let's have a hunt. And he returned to his seat. The bustle of the bridge filled his view, eagerness and rage apparent. Sensors picked up multiple ships exiting slipspace, totaling a fearsome expeditionary force. When the jumps were done, they were blessed with a bountiful amount of destroyers, patrol boats, corvettes, cruisers, frigates, and additional carriers. A report was generated on the total count: 45 patrol boats, 10 corvettes, 9 frigates, 5 destroyers, 4 cruisers, 2 carriers, 1 assault carrier. It was practically a small invasion force in and of itself. The only time a fleet of this size was mobilized was during the Solomon Advance at the height of territorial expansion some 400 years ago. A religious group that garnered an immense following and tried to wage a bloody war for the home system after they had seceded. This occasion would mark the second time, against an enemy they knew nothing about except that they raised, killed, and took into slavery the survivors. As far as he was concerned, this was extermination, and humanity will respond in kind. Set up an all-call with all available ships, military frequency only. Wolf waited until he was given the go-ahead from a helmsman and grabbed his personal intercom transmitter, the wire tied to his chair. Attention all Stellar Fleet vessels. This is the TRSC carrier Sword of Reckoning. He began, Right now we are being exterminated. Exterminated by an enemy with no warning or reason. They do their best to block our communications to be free from hearing our pleas, saving themselves the trouble of knowing who or what they are fighting. He paused. Dima Colony was the first, and now they currently assault Draxus. Were it not for a lone ship carrying the evidence of their advances, we would not have met them with the force we have now. The second largest in our history, with an occasion to mark in all history books. Do your duty, and do so with the aggression bestowed upon you by the grace of your humanity. Resounding cries came not just from his bridge, but all across his ship and throughout his fleet. All vessels, prepare for slip space. He have his order, and all large vessels opened a sphere in front of them and proceeded through their respective portals. All current naval vessels had their slip space drives tuned to match their respective types and class. In the case of an attack group such as theirs, the largest ship would generate the slip space portal, and it allowed for the smaller ships to hitch a ride. In this case, like a school of fish, the ships were separated into predetermined attack groups and set their exit points at the most likely point of contact with the enemy. The largest attack group would launch an assault on Altea itself, while the second largest group would secure the research stations on the moons of Gala. A third group would act as a perimeter early warning system. When it was verified all ships had entered slip space, their portals closed as the last entered. It was noted to the Admiral that their collective journey would take only 4 hours of travel. Have the crew well rested before we exit. We need them all in the right mindset, Commander Randall ordered. Oh, I wouldn't worry about that, Randall, Wolf replied with a smirk. I'm sure my motivational speech has them all fired up. They're eager to do their duty. You're right about that, Randall commented. I was speaking with some of the pilots. They're ready, sir. We'll be hosting a briefing for the pilots in an hour. You should join us. I'm quite fine. I shall remain here. Shame. Randall with a sigh as he exited the bridge. Wolf took his seat and turned toward the rear monitor. Bring Lieutenant O'Brien online. Yes, sir, replied the comms officer. Exiting slip space in 10, announced the master helmsman. The crew jolted forward as their ship exited the space, and before them was a small, verdant planet that was flush with vast forests and mountains. "Get me sights on the enemy, and establish comms and get ready to launch the alert aircraft," commanded Randall. The intercoms on the launch bays sounded off, and alarms blared. Wolf observed the flight deck monitors and noticed all kinds of fighters spooling their engines and the personnel on the ground, ensuring they were fit for flight. "Commander, we have enemy locations pinged near the planet. They have a light blockade spread out on the planet and a large concentration in the space above Shield Base Gamma," reported the intelligence officer. "And we're still trying to contact the forces on the ground, still can't reach them." "Understood. Once they're in MAC range, fire at the smaller ships first." "Aye, sir," they replied, relaying the orders to other ships capable of firing a similar weapon. The MAC is a magnetic accelerator cannon that fires a projectile weighing several hundred tons, a fraction of the speed of light. Depending on the model of the ship, the size of their cannons varied, and thus so did their power. Nonetheless, when it connected to a vulnerable target, the effects were devastating. "In range, sir." "Fire!" Their ship sat in the rear, but that didn't mean they couldn't view the spectacle that was tens of syncopated shots to devastating effect. Most of the ships that fired were already nearing the planet and already found themselves in the thermosphere. They met them at their level, and the ships engaged in broadside fire, a tactic the enemy seemed ill-equipped to engage in. Their fighters launched alongside the patrol boats, which provided supporting fire with a wealth of missiles and point defense. Several enemy ships hastily departed, including their largest ship with a large detachment of escorts that gathered from the surrounding planet, leaving the ones over Shield Base to fend for themselves. "Sir, picking up hundreds of signatures planet-side, underground." Randall looked at the relaxed Wolf and returned his look to the officer. "Friend of foe?" "Friendly, sir. We're also picking up chatter from the ground. Looks like we destroyed a jammer ship in the initial attack. Playing it now."
"This... Captain... Roy..."
The audio started before the signal gained clarity.
"I repeat, this is Captain Roy, head of Draxis Militia. Shield Base Gamma has enacted Athene Protocol. The base is overrun and final authorization requires Stellar Command official approval. They're sending everything they have."
Wolf glared, and the viewport and the battle unfold. They were quickly gaining space superiority, but in the atmosphere. The enemy was launching an all-out offensive on the base. It was only a matter of time before the base was overrun, and the enemy broke into the area containing the most sensitive data the research station had to offer. "Get O'Brien on the line now!" "Aye, aye, sir," the comms officer replied, and the screen to his rear lit up to life. A man wearing black and gray armor stood before him, his helmet held at his waist, and his rifle slung around his chest that rested on the left side of his waist. He had a large scar on his left eye, and his armored helmet shared the likeness. A series of scratches in the shape of a smile with sharpened teeth were made on the thick visor. A gold-painted brand was present on his shoulder pauldrons, signifying his team's role. "You're up. Give 'em hell and ensure no enemy leaves with the base intel." "Done," he said gruffly, turning toward members that shared a similar style in personalized modifications to their armor. Except they all wore their helmets, and the scene shook some of the bridge crew, including Randall, while Wolf remained steadfast. "Get in your pods and prepare for a hot drop. Eliminate with extreme prejudice," he ordered the group before the video cut off. The crew looked at one another, especially Randall. "Is that legal, sir?" he asked. "Oh, the helmets? No, not by a long shot." Wolf replied with a slight cackle. "Why don't they get issued new ones?" The last time a superior officer tried to enforce O'Brien and his troop to regulation, well, it said he resigned and requested a transfer to the Guard. He said with a laugh, "I heard he's living it up in Alpha Centauri." Randall was at a loss for words, for the blatant disregard for regulation and the severe damage to government property. "Maybe I should notify General Slaughter. He's the orbital raider in charge. He has to have some pull to deal with disobedience such as O'Brien." "Do that, and no ship will safely harbor you," Wolf said with a hearty laugh. "I guarantee that." He finalized with a wink. "In any case," Wolf continued, Let's see how his pack hunts.
Incoming transmission. Draxis Defense Inquiry. To Draxmill, Captain Roy, Jericho. From Athena, Shield Base Gamma. Incoming friendly reinforcement. Attack Force 1000. Exo-atmospheric entry. Caution. Open ground. Danger close. High-velocity friendly combatant. Athene Protocol 99%. Awaiting Stellar Command Authorization. ETA 2 minutes 35 seconds. Authorized Executor. First LT O'Brien, Kaler. Hold your ground, Captain. Reinforcements will tend to the enemy shortly. Ending transmission.